Welcome to Ship of a New Story, where we set sail for what is best for the world. And today we're broadcasting on Folkemødet, which is a Danish democratic dialogue platform where we create the future together. And this event we're having right now is actually focusing on just that kind of features. That means, how can we together create the future that we want? My name is Stella Nordahl. I'm right now the moderator for this event, and together with me I have two interesting guests here. First of all, we have from Visby, Gotland, Mia Sture, your project leader for the famous Almedalsveckan. Welcome. Is this your first time on Folkemødet, or have you been on Folkemødet before?
It's the first time as a speaker, or what do you say, having a part in the seminar. But we actually went to Folkemødet 2 years ago to see, learn, and inspire by them. We have a network, we call that Democracy Festival, where we, together with, for example, Folkemødet, has been in networking since 2017. And in that we have learned a lot about our festivals. So that was one of the main reasons we went to Falkenholm 2019.
Yes, and Richard Paulson, you're one of the program creators and co-creators of Ship of a New Story, which is this dialogue platform that we're right now on. Is this your first time on Folkemødet, or have you been at Bornholm on Folkemødet before?
I have never had the opportunity to be at Folkemødet, and as Mia said, it's been quite a pleasure and very interesting to see how they build their digital platform, and we hopefully are going to be inspired when we visit you, Mia, digitally and physical on Almedalen. So It's a great opportunity to be able to be digital here on Folkemødet.
Yeah, and that's right. So Folkemødet is 4 days right now on Bornholm, and we're on the digital event day, 17th of June today, and we're broadcasting from Aurora, which is an electrical ferry that goes between the two countries, Denmark and Sweden, between the two cities, Helsingborg and Elsinore. I'm very eager to digest the topic together, but before we do that, I'm just going to make a short reflection on what we are actually doing right now. We're connecting Folkemødet and Almedalsveckan, and we're also connecting the Nordic countries. The previous event we had here an hour ago was about the new Nordic normal. So maybe we should start where we are right now, talking about how can we take it further, and how can we use both the knowledge from Almedalsveckan, Folkemødet, and similar platforms to find a way to be a guide for other democratic platforms. Shall we start there?
The Nordic, the Baltic, and actually Belgium as well is part of this network. And first time, this started off as a project from Denmark. And when I entered the room the first time and realized that I was a grand old lady, I have been on this. I've been on this job for like 2 months, something like that, and I saw how they were like, "Wow, Almedalen! Our story it all started in Sweden." And then I realized how much this democracy festival that we have created here without actually didn't have a plan. Olof Palme's speech was the start, but we didn't have the plan that next year we are going to do that and that and that. It just growed. I saw how many of those things that happened in Almedalen that had inspired the other countries to start their own democracy festival. They have taken, I don't know if there's an English word, but they have taken the fruit of the cake and made their special events like Folkemødet. It's based on the same model, but they are doing it Danish.
Richard, you have been at Almedalen for a couple of years, different platforms, but the same ideas going in the direction of best for the world. What is your take on what you're experiencing right now at Folkemødet?
We have a new dimension with the digital that since it is a political or a democratic festival, then now we have the possibility to invite everybody, and the one that comes into dialogue is maybe the one that contribute the most, and not just the one that had the opportunity at that time to be a part of it. And also it's been quite nice to see the same goal from another perspective, since we're from Sweden and the Sweden participation on Almedalen, and look at Folkemötet and say, oh, I recognize that, but there's a twist on it, and they have done a bit of a tweak. So it's been inspiring, and also, you know, raising the bar a bit, and taking your eyes to look away to the horizon and not just what lies directly ahead of you.
And I would also, if I can add something here, is that right now we're experiencing the whole world that we have had a year of change, which is in most ways have come from some kind of an outer threat or an outer something that is laid upon us. But I would say that maybe we have now a year of change where we can choose and how we can form the ideas that we want to collaborate on or we want to focus on and so on. And Almedalsveckan right now this year is going totally digital, which is a new experience for Almedalsveckan. How far have you come in the planning? And it's in 2.5 weeks from now?
The thing with this year is that even though it is digital, most of those events actually have a part with an interactive part that they are inviting the people to come to talk, to be a part of the workshops, to be a part of creating the meeting together. And I think that is amazing. It's almost like being here in Visby. Maybe you can't feel and smell and feel, what to say, see everything that you often see when you are here. But I think we can reach the part that is networking. We can reach the part of a discussion. We can reach the part of actually create something together. And then hopefully next year we can be here in Visby physically, but with the digital part, because as you said, Richard, I think this is something good for the democracy. I think this is a way of including more in the talks, more in the discussions, because now you don't need to be on the place, you don't need to be in Bornholm, you don't need to be in Visby, you can still be a part of it. So I think this is it's including more of people engage in social issues.
Yeah, and it also a possibility for, of course, to engage in the dialogues themselves, but also listening into them. I mean, we've just realized here that if you miss out, you don't miss out the dialogue itself. You can always go back and you can watch it again and maybe also find connections. Richard, couldn't you elaborate a little bit on how you can connect one year with another? I know that you have a lot of ideas there on how we can find threads and ideas that are connecting not only one event with another, but maybe a whole year with another and so on.
Yes, I would actually start with what Mia said before, that physical and digital, and that it's a mixture. And the reflection of that is that actually this year we're being digital at Folkemötet, but I think that's a stepping stone that we probably will participate physically. So I think that we enhanced one of another, the physical and the digital. And to go back to your question about how you can connect the years and connect the questions, is that since it is digital, you have one experience when it comes live to you, and after that you can actually work with the question. Since it is digital, you can see it again, you can have a question that you start at one session or 1 year or in one place. If we start a question at Folkemötet, then Almedalen comes a bit later than that, and then we can take the question to the next level. And then in August there is a similar Arendalsuka in Norway, so we can actually build a question in between the meetings and also make it as a category. I mean, when we've been having the physical, then we need to have people live there to reach them with the important things that we wanted to tell. But now we have a second chance or a third chance to use the knowledge and the time and the resources that people that been participating in dialogue has been given us. So it's a new world, and it's an exciting world. and it's a very good world for democratic dialogue.
If we see the past years, we can see in, for example, media reporting from Almedalen Week, they often take part of everything that happens in Visby during those days. And I had felt a little bit sadness that they don't report about all the knowledge or events that we are like experts are giving out their knowledge for free, and we are the discussion is about things that maybe you had to pay a lot of money because it's a part of a conference later on, but that has happened in Visby and it's free, it's open for everyone. This year we can show that part. It happens when we are here physically, absolutely, but this year we can with the digital, and as we say, if you have recorded your event, then we can show a part of the Democracy Festival that is not often so written about in media this year.
Yeah, I also believe that is. I'm actually looking here in this dialogue for guiding principles for those democratic. You mentioned festival, not only a dialogue platform, and I really like that. So festival in itself is something that is attracting people, and you gather together in a joyful surrounding and environment where you can dig into issues that are of real importance. And I really like that. What I'm thinking of also is that this specific dialogue that we're right now having is actually not only connecting Folkemötet, Almedalsveckan and so on, but it's also on both platforms. So while we do this for the first time, we're at Folkemötet the 17th of June, but this will also be broadcasted during Almedalsveckan, this specific event that we're having right now, which is in itself interesting because now you are part of your own event also, Mia, as we speak, which is another dimension, which is not often. I mean, we are right now sending stuff to the future, so we are time travelers more or less. We're talking about something that is going to happen in 2.5 weeks from now, and that's also an interesting take on it. I have a little question for you. We have mentioned some things like free, open. We have talked about both digital and physical as a way of showing both what the engaging dialogues and the themes and the subjects, but also the fantastical place, in your case Visby and at Folkemötet at Bornholm. So what I'm thinking of, what else would you say are fundamentals for those kind of festivals, democratic festivals? Rikard and Mia, I don't know who wants to go first, but what do you believe is the core, the most main fundamental principles and so on? Yeah, you can go, Rikard.
Well, actually, I've been thinking about it. It's both moving when you're there physically. It's both moving your mind and your body, taking you a bit out of the normal concept so that you open up yourself to new meetings and actually set off the time for just being there to take and to give knowledge. And also it's in a good time. I mean, not everybody is known by the Scandinavian summer, but we have very bright nights. So we have it very long evenings and early mornings with a daylight that gives you energy and more time to be able to have dialogues.
Mia, what you would say are the fundamentals for you when you think of Almedalsveckan?
I think one of our, and actually that is something that connects us in this network as well, maybe except for Belgium, but we are all arranged in a place quite far away from the main city, from the capital city. So, and some of us is in an island, as Bornholm. We are making the festival in a place where it's not so easy to just take a short visit to the office or maybe collect children in the kindergarten or so on. When you are here, you are here. I think that is one of the main reason that it has been so popular to just go here and be here for a couple of days, because it's a mix between the feeling of being on vacation and being a part of something important. You are relaxed, you are a little bit more informal, and the way that you can meet people that you didn't expect to meet.
I have a personal reflection there, which is one of my first real experiences of Almedalsveckan 2016, where I experienced that the things that you're talking about really open, not only open to being part, but to take part in, to get to know people, and I mean, I don't know how it's in most countries in the world, but in Sweden we are, in most cities at least, we're not talking to each other when we meet people that we don't know on the street. But this was going on for real in Visby during Almedalsveckan, and I really appreciated that openness, which is not only open to I mean, as you said, free and open. It was really open, and I believe that could also be done digitally. Right now I mean, I met you before me, I met you, Rickard, and so on, but just in the previous event I had two totally new people in the same digital room, and we felt a connection, and that's interesting. So there is something there, maybe with the place, or maybe also with, maybe not the topic, maybe the form itself, the purpose of it. I mean, there is a purpose behind it, which is very often maybe forgotten, but I mean, we want to create something together, a society, a world, or whatever it is, the purpose behind it. So that's my personal experience, and I believe it was very profound when I went to Almedalsveckan first time. So I've written down some stuff here. I know, Rickard, you have an idea, Rickard, about presenting a guide for creating those kind of festivals or democratic platforms and so on. So I've been taking the opportunity to just write down what you said here about maybe guiding principles or fundamental assumptions. Free, open, show, both digital and physical, moving mind and body and open up, and in a place where you are present, and maybe in a, I don't know, but in a way where we can talk to each other as a people to people and human to human, and right now I feel very connected. I mean, of course there are people watching us, but right now I feel like we have almost a room here where we are the three of us, and that's interesting, and that I've seen on Almedalsveckan many times, where you are so close, the closeness. So do you think there are more principles that needs to be in this big pot? I mean, we have a question here which we can always relate to. Can an event be created where everybody's invited and all ideas are treated equally? And the answer is yes, we can. But what are the principles and what are the fundamentals here? Can you add some more ideas?
Actually, I can take a part from our own experience. We had this discussions for a couple of years ago when organizations that are not standing behind the democracy values came to Almedalen, and if in true spirit of democracy, everyone is invited, but we think that it was very important to set some rules. Okay, they are not, if you break them, then the police will get you. No, it's not like that, but it's more or less some rules that we all agree to, that in a democracy festivals we are discussing issues, but we are have respect to each other, we are respecting the person behind the issue, we are good listeners, we are see each other behind the different opinions, to make sure that it could be a very intense discussion, but we will still keep person and the issue separate. Mm-hmm. I think that is one of our main values here, and that we are keeping it free from commercial events. This is an area where you discuss social issues. You can be a company, you can be a person, you can be an organization, you can be a political person, whatever, but we are here for the social issue, not to selling product or my knowledge or something like that. I think that is also a very good base to have, to keep it clear from all those kind of, hi, I know the answer, or hi, just contact me and I will help you with this problem.
And that's super interesting, because if we're going to use the knowledge from Almedalsveckan, Folkemötet, Arendalsuge, and so on, maybe we need to take that in account, not to push it out, more to have a guide, and you can hand it out, or you can be open to questions and be open to dialogues, but not push it, because that would then be doing what we don't want to do, even with this specific idea. What do you say about that, Rickard?
I have a reflection on what we talked about, that you're in one place physically and you're open to meet people and get personal. We did this Ship of a New Story last year when the dialogue meeting physically was closed, and then we had a dialogue after the one that's been into meeting, that we tried out these Zoom, Teams meetings, and said that you connect to people in a different way. If you're having a CEO or someone else when they're sitting at home, it turns personal. So actually the engaging distance between people can be reproduced also in a digital way, which is quite interesting, that we don't lose the way to connect on a personal level, even if we go over to digital.
Yeah, but because right now you're at your home in Vega outside Stockholm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were just in the garden before, and now you're inside, so we're sharing your day-to-day life, and that's interesting in itself. Yeah, that's. I would like to elaborate a little bit on what you said, Mia. You talked about rules, and then I thought of framework for a while, and then I came into the idea that within there are of course theories on how we can do that. But there is a word in English called constraints, which is very often used in complex system as a organization or in a society and so on. And constraints could be both be limiting and enablers. So I believe that in a way it could be limiting you from doing things that harm other, but it's also an enabler because it builds trust and it builds openness and stuff like that. So it's not only limiting, okay, you can't come here because you do like this, but it's also when you do like that, you ruin something. But if you do like this instead, so it's like more like a guide on how to have active listening, how to have engaged dialogues and so on. What do you think about that one?
I think that is the right way to go, because I don't like no's. I prefer yes. If you have too much don'ts, you limit it. The festival, the discussion, the talk. But it's also the thing that it's okay to be in different opinions, but we have this we call the Almedalen spirit. And I think that is something we need to really protect with those, what do you say, framework, those
constraints.
Rules,
The constraints was
constraints.
the word I suggested here. Yeah, that's interesting. Rickard, anything on that topic you want to add?
I mean, I think the guide here is actually everybody comes here with a curiosity, and I think that could be, if you have the guiding star being curious, then you're also interested of what other people want to say, and then you won't be going into a debate. Then you will have a dialogue where you actually want to explore things together.
That's a good take. If you would sum up what you would like for the future concerning democratic festivals and platforms and dialogues, what would be your ideas on that? And when we sum it up with that, is that okay with you?
I can start because I can't say I often get it, but I get the question about the other festivals here in Sweden. We have Järvaveckan, and there's a lot of other days or shorter meeting place with the same purpose that we have, and they also I always get the question about how can you compete? Do you compete? And I always answer, you can't compete in democracy. And I think this help, it's good for the democracy in the long run. And you can do it as a small in your own area. You can do it as a region part, or national or internationally. It doesn't. It's not what the questions are. It is just the way of meet each other and talk that is important, I think.
Thank you very much, Mia. And Rikard, what is your ideas on it?
Cannot be too much democracy, but we can have a new way of taking questions and dialogues forwards. I mean, we can now have it digital that we can share it with more people, but with more democratic dates where we actually take our time out of the ordinary life and meet together, then we actually could take those questions in a structure that we actually move them to the next meeting point and bring that at a seed that can keep on growing. So, I mean, otherwise if we only have one democratic meeting in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, then we have to wait 51 weeks until we can talk about it again. And we don't have that time to do the global goals, to work for democracy and so on. So it could only be better.
Thank you very much for that, Rikard. And I really like what you said here about not competing. And I also believe that if we have a purpose that is higher than ourselves, we can never compete because it's serving the same purpose. So I would say this is to all of you who are listening into this dialogue. Why not setting up a dialogue platform or festival in your neighborhood? It could be a local one, it could be a regional one, and it could be a national or cross-national. That could be interesting if we could create such a framework which is cross-national on like we do now, right? Actually, we are connecting the dots. So thank you very much, both Rikard Paulson, Ship of an Story, and Mia Sture, Almedalsveckan. And right now you're both looking forward to it, and at the same time, you're in it. Right now you're also in Almedalsveckan. I really like that. That's a twist I didn't expect. And of course, thank you very much everyone at both Folkemötet and Almedalsveckan for listening in. And please continue to engage in those kind of platform dialogues and festivals, because the future is something we create together. And as we do it, the suggestion is what happens if we go in the direction of what is best for the world. Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon again. Thank you.